Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. I've had a lot of people ask, how do you come up with a new quilt pattern? How do you come up with a new table runner pattern? So I'm old school. I use a sketchbook. I draw things out and shade it in. And I've got some pretty fabrics here. These are from the French General collection. So I wanted to try a very simple pattern because this is a really, really beautiful floral here. So I'm going to make some blocks, some 6-inch blocks. I'm going to alternate a 9-patch block with this beautiful floral here. So I've already cut these to size. Now I'm going to cut some of the 9-patch pieces. These are just 2.5-inch squares. You can make this using strips, but I really like to have cut blocks to work with. It's much more accurate for me. So I'm using a weight to hold my ruler down. Helps give me some accuracy. I had already cut these into strips the other way, so you can see they're coming out like that. So this is probably enough pieces for me to get started with to see if I like it. So we'll pick these up and take them over to the sewing machine. And we'll take the big patches and our notes. So I'm just going to lay these out the way I've got them shaded in this block here, with the darks on the diagonal, the lights top and bottom, and this cute little coordinating print in the corners. So that's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to use a 1/4-inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to sew my pieces together. And I usually chain piece like this. It keeps the pieces from getting lost, and it's just easier for me to stitch them like this. So I've got the first 2 rows sewn there. And now I'm just going to open this up and add the 3rd piece to each row. Again, you use a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Nice and straight, right sides together. So now I know all my pieces are in the right order. Now I'm going to finger press the seams. I'm going to do the seam allowances to the outside on this first row. Then I'm going to do the seam allowances to the inside here. So I'm really pressing away from the light. I'm pressing towards the dark. This one, again, the seam allowance out, and that seam allowance out. So they're going in alternate directions. So if I were to flip it over, these ones are going outward, the next row is going in, the next row is going outward. That way when I put this together, the seams are going different directions, so they're like, I'm reducing the bulk in the seam allowance area there. So I'm matching up the ends. Then I'm going to match up these corners, then I'm going to just kind of feel if my seam allowances are matching. You can, if you like, of course, take a straight pin and put it right at the juncture and take a look and see if everything is matched up. But this usually works well. You usually can feel it. And the last seam. See what the blocks look like. So I'm hoping once I sew all the blocks together and alternate them, that I will get a long row of these darker plain blocks showing. Sometimes when you have one really beautiful fabric, you want to highlight that print and you don't want to cut it up into a lot of little teeny pieces. Now I'm going to iron both of these, finger press them away from the middle, and I'm actually going to take this over to my ironing board and give it a steam press. I like the way it looks, and I think it's going to look really good next to these blocks here. Very pretty. All right, let's iron the block. I usually press the seams flat first. And then open it up, square it up. I like to do it without steam first, get it blocked the way I want, and then steam press it. So I made a few blocks earlier, so now we can lay these all out and see if the quilt will actually look nice. I think we've got enough to tell. All right, let's take them back over to the machine. Actually, let's lay them out right here. This is a good spot. So we're going to be doing every other block. I'm going to put all the blocks facing the same way. Let's start with 2 on the top and 1 in the middle. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. Yeah. Now let me grab the printed plain blocks. Some have more flowers in them, some have less. So when I get ready to actually lay the quilt out, I will put all the pieces out and make sure that the flowers are balanced. So this is actually looking really nice. And it looks like this width, if I keep going, would make a nice table runner width. And I think it'll make a nice quilt. So I'm going to make up more of the blocks and then stitch them together, and then we'll see if we like the whole effect. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. It looks like it might be a pattern that we might be able to use. So I'm going to cut out some more of the patches, I'm going to stitch some more of the pieces together, and I'm going to make a small sample quilt. So if you're interested in seeing how that turns out, we'll have another video tomorrow, and you can check back and see what the quilt looks like. Now if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel.